If you've come to this course, it's probably because you aren't where you thought you would be at this point in your life. Maybe you had a very detailed, specific plan that hasn't come to pass, or maybe you never really had a defined plan about what your life would look like when you got here. Either way, where you are now doesn't seem to match up with the idea you had in your head, however clear or vague that was. So if you're feeling frustrated or depressed by the fact that you aren't married, engaged, or even in a relationship, or that all of your friends seem to be popping out beautiful Gerber babies while you and your cat split a TV dinner, you are absolutely in the right place. Let's start by taking a look at why you're feeling a disconnect between where you are and where you feel like you should be. 1. You're not where you should be. Single, childless women in our culture tend to exist in a kind of waiting room. We've been brought up to believe that there's a natural process to our lives that consists of growing up, falling in love, getting married, buying a house, having kids, and living happily ever after. So when that process doesn't show up in our lives, it's understandable that we begin to wonder what's wrong with us and why we're not fitting into that plan. Thoughts such as, why don't I have a romantic partner? Is there something wrong with my personality? Why don't I have a baby yet? Isn't my biological clock ticking away? Or even, why don't I want a baby? Is there something wrong with me? Is my maternal instinct defective? Tend to start circulating through our minds. 2. The pressure is on. There's an expectation that society places on women, which women in turn place on themselves. This is more visible than ever thanks to the amount of statistics and surveys readily available through social media and other online sources. For one example, let's look at Pinterest. The vast majority of active pinners are women under 40, so this particular site can tell us a lot about what women in that demographic are focusing on. Pinterest currently has 38 million wedding boards, and yet 70% of users create their wedding boards before they're even engaged. If you're on Pinterest, ask yourself, how many women do you know who pin hundreds of images to their nursery boards before their baby-to-be is even a twinkle in someone's eye? Women have become mildly obsessed over having a wedding and starting a family long before either of those options appears in her visible future. All of this comes down to one fact. Single women are waiting for a lover, a co-parent, a baby to make them feel more accepted and worthwhile. But you know what? We don't need to wait. And to be honest, we probably shouldn't. Here's why. 1. The fact that it's considered socially normal to plan portions of your life that revolve around a person you haven't met or who doesn't even exist is kind of strange when you stop and think about it. Placing so much importance on the appearance of another person takes a lot of control over a woman's life out of her hands. 2. Beyond that, waiting for another person to complete your plans can range from slightly selfish to vicariously living through your miserable child selfish. It's like handing your future spouse or newborn a script detailing the part they'll be playing in your life. 3. But the worst part about this waiting game is that it's keeping your incredible life on pause. Instead of making do with what you have until that one person comes along and fulfills that role, you could be living out all of your dreams right now. But instead, we've grown up with the idea that we've got to write the script and wait for the actors to appear before we can get on with the show. So what's the alternative to telling your loved ones, once they show up, how to act in your play? Focusing on your own role. In this life, you are the director of only one actor, and that's yourself. In this course, we're going to work on rewriting the script you've worked on, possibly for years, so that it's a complete one-woman show. Now, this show can be open to improvisation should your knight in shining armor or bundle of joy show up. But the point is that it's your show, and others can join and contribute their own scripts only if they want to and when you allow it. In the next sections, we're going to identify the dreams in your life that are acting more as tethers to keep you in place than plans that motivate you. Find out what aspects of those dreams really light your fire, and then figure out how to get that same sense of happiness from something that doesn't require a baby bump or engagement ring. This is going to be so exciting because it'll allow you to really connect with the deep down dreams you have, way past everything our culture has tacked onto them. If you feel like you can't move on without having that special someone or hearing that pitter-patter down the hall, your life is about to be transformed and your true awesomeness released. So what I want you to do next is follow the exercises in your workbook for this module. These will include making a series of lists and then taking a deep, honest look at them. We're going to deconstruct your dreams to find out what about them really stokes your passion. From there, we can work on helping you shape a life even more amazing than the one you had planned, and that you can accomplish all on your own.